Mixed doubles final started.
All right,
On your
Miss
screen, Danny Townsend, the Aussie. Always fun to watch her, to listen to her talk. Calls her partner George Wall OMG. Old man George, she says. It'll be fun to see how this pans out between the young and old Aussie duo. But definitely the energy that George Wall brings unparalleled. They're feisty, they're fun to watch, and they're going to start this on their own serve. Danny to Roos.
Right, here we go. Game 1, time in 0-0-2.
Roos, the only player of the tournament so far to play back-to-back games. Let's see if that fatigue takes a toll on her.
0-0-1.
I think the enormity of the situation will weigh in deep, but it is a big game after all. It is a grand final, second last game of the day. With a heavy heart, we will have to sign off a game after this, but till then, enjoy every moment of it, everyone.
Body bag
Point.
comes up from Armaan Bhatia, straight to George Wall.
1-0, sorry. 1-0-1.
Armaan Bhatia single-handedly won that point, you can say. Almost single-handedly. Roos allowing Armaan to take the lead. The understanding between them, perfect on that occasion.
0-0-1. Point.
Danny a bit wayward there. Won't get too many other
3-0-1.
chances. 3-0.
Point.
Make it
Timeout.
4-0 with a timeout. That's exactly the number of bugs I've removed from my head on the way up from ground zero. It's hotter today. I don't know whether that has attracted a few more bugs. You could see the players clearly struggling while I was doing the interview, swatting, thwarting. In fact, Miss Hart, when she won with Roos, I was literally using a paddle as a fly swatter. She was happy though, she was happy. Sarthak, I'm sure you could tell from the comm box here what it meant to her. With a 1.5 leg or 1 3/4 of a leg functioning, you could see her struggling. True athlete.
Indeed, sheer commitment and heart shown by Katie Hart over the last 4 days. Gets that gold alongside Roos van Reek. And now the 4-point lead for Armaan Bhatia and
We have one
Roos.
timeout remaining, serve at 2, time in 4-0-1.
Out of bounds. Sarthak, tell me, correct me if I'm wrong, but both the teams seem to have a very similar game style, a little aggressive. They attack the kitchen very early, both like the big shots.
Point.
Spot on. They do have those similarities. You can see Roos go after the
0-1.
drives. Armaan will take his time at the kitchen, attack at the right moment. Similar style between George and Danny.
Server.
Hence you just get this feeling that this could go the distance, while in the first game, the scoreline doesn't suggest so. But we've seen so many comebacks in this
6-0-2.
final day itself.
Side out.
Side out there, but another point worth mentioning
0-6-1.
after this rally.
Point.
Is the end of the last game went on for a little too long,
1-6-1.
even though Roos and Miss Hart, caddy Hart, had the advantage for quite a long time, which means Roos had to be on that court for a little longer in these tiring and trying conditions. Would those few 4 or 5 minutes make a difference? As we see,
Point.
George and Danny capitalizing, coming back strong.
Two, 6-1.
Armaan yet to lose a final today. Might just walk away with 4 trophies.
Point.
Beg your pardon, 3 trophies.
3,
Got a
6-1.
little excited there myself. He obviously can't play the women's category.
Point. Timeout receiver, 4-6-1, 1 minute.
Going for the treble, going for that triple crown as we headed to the timeout here. But it's been a quick turnaround if you look at the score now, from 6-0 to 6-4. Bhatia and Reek had that perfect start, slowly making their comeback. Wall and Townsend.
Seconds. Receiver and server, you have 1 timeout apiece. Time in. 4,
Game
6-1.
on! Timeout is now over.
Fall. Foot fall.
Bruce, where were you going? Where were you going?
Point.
Opened up an angle and
5-6-1.
anyway, there was a foot fault. Nutmegged. I know it's a different sport, but anything through the leg for me is a nutmeg. Won't dive too much into that conversation, but good to see that lovely shot.
5-6-2.
That's my kind of smash. Power.
Interestingly, 6 points in a row, followed by 5 in a row.
6-5-1.
Both teams with massive momentum. Swings rather, because it slipped away from Armaan Bhatia and Roos van Reek, that strong 6-point lead that they had.
6-5-2. Point.
Finally, they move
7-5-2.
ahead from that 6-point score. Get one more. In came the around the post, the ATP from Mr. Wall. The Aussie, as his partner calls him,
5-7-1.
Old Man George, definitely showing us some experience and skill there.
Bruce feels there in the game. Armaan agrees.
Server.
George has a quiet word with Danny as the plot thickens here on centre court. In the second to last game, live from the DLTA. This, of course, is the PWR DUPR India Masters. 700 points up for grabs, lots of money, lots of prizes, and that coveted gold and silver trophy that you'll see after a few games
5-7-2.
in a grand prize distribution ceremony. Danny serves.
Side out. 7-5-1. Point.
Silly error there by George. He's miffed with himself. Wouldn't like that.
8-5-1.
Probably uttered a few words under his breath in that t-shirt. Nobody likes making these small mistakes at such a big stage.
Indian number one doing a lot of leg work during that rally. In the end, just enough from Roos, keeping this going. The Indo-Dutch pair, they have a 3-point lead. A reminder, they were up 6-0. Somehow managed to keep everything in check. Found control once again. 9-5 now. 2 points away from grabbing the first game. This is that slice there. Looking to be a little too cute, Armaan Bhatia.
5-9-1.
Let's go!
7-7.
Side out. Serve goes to server number 2 now. As you hear say 5-8 to 5-9 to, I beg your pardon.
Side out.
As we speak, the big giant screen in front of us, the glass, being cleaned and cleared because it's gone really foggy with all the humidity and the air conditioning inside. The staff here doing a fantastic job.
Taking their time, all 4 of them, nice and patient. Dinks on display, and the winner comes from Roos van Reek's battle in the end. Speed up was something there. They take their time, but that's the speed of sudden change in pace. You want to be sure when you want to do that. Roos was on point. Just at the right moment, she saw the opportunity, chose to increase the speed. You just want to see these dinks, you want to see these hand battles, don't we?
I think one of the best moments is when you hit a shot or take a shot and the opponent has no answer, barely moved there, Danny or George. Great to see.
It's an Australian duo up against an Indo-Dutch pair. This is the mixed doubles final. After this, we have the men's doubles final. From Indian fans' perspective, Armaan Bhatia is eyeing a triple crown. He's got 1 gold in a thrilling men's singles final. Will he get 2 more? That's the big question. As we shift focus back to championship court, where Armaan Bhatia is now ready to serve.
15 seconds called by Byron the legend. And this feels like Armaan has to go for the kill. 1 point away from glory for game 1.
Point game 11-5.
There we go. More again by Armaan. Seems like he's extremely greedy today. Wants every possible trophy. 3 are for grabs, and that's what he's going for.
All right, game 2, time in 0-0-2.
Yeah, come on, let's go, Daddy.
Side out.
Let's go.
0-0-1. Second server.
And we have a little surprise for you. I'm going to let this legend in his own right introduce himself, buddy. Put your headphones on, get the mic up, tell us who you are and why you're so eclectic and important to the sport.
Side out.
Great to be here. I'm Ron Shell, the CEO of NPL Australia, PWR's newest exclusive Oceania partner, and the level of pickleball here has just been mind-blowing on the centre court. Armaan and Rose put on a bit of a clinic, if I'm honest, in that first set. But I do think Danny and George have a chance to come
0-0-2.
back and force it. But Percy, you've done an amazing job all weekend with your energy. So just wanted to say thank you for that. From everyone around the crowd, from the players, from the fans, you've been unbelievable.
Well, you're too kind. Thank you so much. But let's get back to you, buddy. Tell us about what you guys are doing in Australia, what this organization is, and what you guys stand for, how long you guys have been around for.
Great question. So we've been around for just under 2 years. In Australia, everything's very new in pickleball, just like it is here. We want to be the #1 brand in Australia. We want to run a tournament and league series, which now falls under the PWR umbrella. But we also invest in property and infrastructure and in marketing, events and activations. So we want to grow the sport from tens of thousands of people to hundreds of thousands to 1 million plus by 2028 in Australia.
0-0-2.
I love that. And something very different that I've noticed with your organization back home in Australia is your coats are green, mate. You Aussies have just taken over that color. And don't be confused. Don't call it gold. It's the baggy green for the Australian cricketers, and it's green coats here. Tell me, does that make a difference with the ball and just the sight and the line of vision?
Depends who you ask. You know, pickleball players are very particular. However, the green courts work really well still with the beautiful yellow Franklin balls. So we just want, I think tennis has done a good job of making blue a very popular colour for tennis courts, hard courts. We want green to be the colour in Australia. Every time you walk into a pickleball court, you see the colour green, you think NPL, and now you think, hey, that means an NPL tournament's happening with PWR.
Your partner told me a very interesting story about Agassi coming to one of our venues, and actually I don't want to spoil it. Go on and tell us what happened there.
1-0-2.
All right, Australian Open this year. We get a call from someone. He goes, I need you to prepare a court in 30 minutes. And we said, sorry, we're booked out. It's a Saturday. We are busy from 7 a.m. through to 6 p.m. There's not one court available. He goes, it's for Andre Agassi. I go, okay. We'll see what we can do. You know, and we called a few of our regulars. We saw their court bookings. We said, hey guys, we're going to give you some extra credits. I know this is frustrating, but if you want, up to you. There's a chance here. You can come and watch, but Andre Agassi's going to come down. Now, in the end, actually, he cancelled that day. So that was a bit frustrating. But then on the Monday, they came down at 10 a.m. and they played against two of the players that were here, Tom and Helena. And so Tom, Helena, Andre Agassi, and Andre Agassi's agent played pickleball for 2 hours at the Jar in Melbourne.
Who won that game?
Legend says that Andre Agassi thinks he won. Tom and Helena think they won. I was there, and it was impossible to tell. There was a lot of cheering and a lot of smiling, and in the end, they just tapped paddles. We don't know what the final score was.
Does he still have the fire in his belly, does Agassi? Because he's always been a competitor. How was he that day?
He was. It wasn't an exhibition match. He was there to win. He was commenting on the bounce of the court. He was commenting on the balls. He was commenting on the surrounds. You know, he didn't want to come there and just give an easy match for any Australians. You know, and then he left and went straight to his commentary job at the Australian Open because he was commentating as well. So he went from tennis to pickleball to tennis.
Wow, and coming back to the pickleball here, the action heating up. Of course, Armaan being greedy with Roos, wants to win everything he possibly can in three finals, and this one will seal it for him.
Do you think he can do it?
100%, mate. I've gotten into pickleball 3 weeks back, and he's already my favorite player. What are your first thoughts? I'm sure you've seen him before. Do you guys scout a lot of players, and based on what you've seen, what do you think of Armaan?
We do. I just find him so cool and calm in a crisis. Yeah, he's got this quiet. Everyone knows he's a confident player, but you can't tell that sometimes until you're watching him and he's down. I mean, watching the singles, to be down 9-4 in the second set, 8-0 in the third set, and just have the fortitude to be able to not necessarily just go for broke like a hero. Work your way back into it. Get to 8-3, get to 8-4, get to 8-6, and then start to play your game. I think he's just got a mentality, of a champion, and I can see why, the Indian and Asian and Australian players all love him.
As you'll see on your screen there, fantastic shot. Armaan and Roos looking to finish things off. They already have the first game lead. They wouldn't want to take it to game 3 specifically because they played so much over the last 4 days. And as we see, oh, good try there by George. A little too cocky, but it was fun to watch. There, mate. You're on camera. Say hello. There, for all the people who couldn't get a face of this amazing Australian accent, that's the face behind it. Sardak, do you want to come in here and talk as well? Go for it.
Look, you've got two Australians on the court. Rose is essentially a glorified Australian. She spends so much time there, and then Armaan's obviously playing, has played MLP Australia before. So these players are no strangers to each other. What I love though is how much they've improved even over the last year. Danny is just a dynamic player, and George is one of the best doubles players in Australia. Then you got Armaan, who's this triple threat, and you got Rose, who's that triple threat as well. She could have easily been going for a triple crown. This is her second championship match already, back to back.
Another generic question for you. There's something about you Aussies. I wouldn't call it cocky, but you guys have a certain air about yourselves on the pitch. And let me tell you, the moment the game is over, it's a completely different story. Where does that come from, mate?
I think, we've always been a really strong sporting nation. Per capita in the world, there's not many better countries that just produce champions after champions, and we love to talk smack. You grow up when you're 2 or 3 years old and you can open your mouth and say your first words. The first thing you do is make fun of your siblings, then you make fun of your parents, and then you start making fun of your friends. The only way that you show love in Australia is through hurting each other's feelings. That is it. If you're praising someone, you probably don't like them. If you're hurting their feelings, you're talking smack, there's a bit of banter, there's usually some familiarity, and that's the Australian way.
Okay, now I'm thinking, because the first thing you did when you came here was praise me. What is going on there, buddy?
Look, to be honest, we're feeling each other out. Yeah. We're feeling each other out after this. That was the last compliment I'll give you. Yeah. I like the way Armaan does it though. He also has that banter, and he tries to suck you in being very nice and friendly, and then poop on the court, bang.
And let's step away from pickleball for a second. The Border Gavaskar Trophy coming up. India coming to Australia. You guys always take care of us with your lovely words. Your press never spares us. If you had to give me a prediction right now, if you're a cricketing man, what do you think the Test series is going to end up at?
I think India actually wins this one.
Really?
I think there's a lot of turmoil right now. Like, we don't know where to put Steve Smith in the batting order. He moved down the order. He moved up the order. He's, one of the best players of all time. So look, I think India pulls an upset.
Interesting. We'll need to see if there's an upset pulled here by Danny and George. I mean, yesterday has been a day of upsets. Real Madrid getting smashed at home by Barcelona. Max Holloway in the UFC, first time he gets knocked out. Let's see if the Aussies here can do what they do best and silence the crowd here in India.
Let's see. Danny, a former table tennis player growing up, a really, really high-level table tennis player in Australia, and she's transitioned those really soft hands, close to the body, to the great sport of pickleball.
Phenomenal stuff around the kitchen here. Just to remind you, you cannot step into the kitchen unless the ball is bounced. That we saw that a couple of times. Until then, until the ball bounces, you have to stay out of that Lakshman Rekha, the dark blue patch that is the kitchen.
Out of all the Australian players you've seen, who's impressed you the most?
Well, whose mustache? It's just one man only. No, but I think it would have to be George. I think it's just his general demeanor, the way he behaves, the way he acts on and off the pitch. I got to interact with him a little bit yesterday at dinner, where all of us were together. I think there's just something about you Aussies. There's a certain confidence that I love, but out of all of them, definitely George. What about you, mate? Who's your favorite?
Well, look, I love these two. I really do. I think George's moustache, he's quite demeanor. It is really strong, but then Danny's got a fun side to her. She's young. She's probably the quickest rising superstar in the.
Out of all the sports, you guys play a bunch in Australia, and of course the AFC, which is indigenous just to Australia. Where would you rank pickleball as a growing sport and as a sport as itself right now?
Honestly, that's the job ahead. It's probably something like number 10. AFL is number 1, Australian football. Then you've got rugby, and then you probably have cricket is probably next. Then it's really basketball, soccer, tennis, And then you start getting to the, less popular sports, but still popular, and pickleball's rising through there. I don't think it can ever get ahead of, Australian football and rugby, but I do think it can potentially, over the next 5 years, be that number 3 or number 4 sport. And that'll come down to participation, it'll come down to events like this, which make the sport seem really special.
So right now you're looking at dethroning the Socceroos.
Yeah, exactly right. Look, the Socceroos are really popular when they're going well. We are not a soccer nation. We're not a European, South American soccer nation. When the Socceroos are going well, suddenly everyone has interest in soccer. But otherwise, there's enough soccer players, but it's not a soccer nation. Huge from Armaan there.
Point.
Grunt to follow, more than a grunt. Him and Roos are pumped. Like I said, they don't want to take it. Roos has played back-to-back games, which no athlete has done in this tournament. She'll want to get to bed early, or at least start celebrating early. What is the best case scenario for you here? Of course, the Aussies winning is your thing, but for someone who's been to this tournament, of course, it's being played for the first time. What are your first thoughts on how it's been organized and the athletes and the level of pickleball?
Look, I think the simplest thing is 2 things have been done that have really shocked the world. One is just the overall grandeur of the experience. We want to take pickleball an afterthought as a sport in some countries to, one of those prestigious sports, and you need to make it look prestigious. The second thing is what all the players say, the player experience. Second to none. A shout out Pranav and the team at PWR. They said that before. A lot of people can talk the talk, but walking the walk with the player lounge and how they treat the players, how they elevate the players, the social media, there's a lot of bones here to turn this into a sport that people absolutely love. So, look, I think this time next year, when this tournament is run, there'll be 5,000 people in the stands. That's my prediction.
Woo! Bold prediction by a bold Aussie. I'm going to have to run down for the presentation, but I'm going to leave you in some very able hands. Sarthak will be taking over. My man's been ready, waiting as usual. You guys have a good one.
Point.
Thank you. Enjoy the presentation. We'll be down there to celebrate. Hopefully it's a 3rd set, though, and you'll be back up here.
6-7-1. Point.
All right, it looks like we're at 7-all. This is a pivotal moment. This is where people usually get tight. Once you get to the 7s and 8s, the game changes. It's not the free-flowing, game that we're used to. It starts to be who can actually act like it's still 0-0, like it's still 2-2. Very, very big serve coming up here. Danny and George do not want to let Armaan and Rose get close to 9 or 10, because otherwise, to be honest, it looks like it'll be over.
7-7-1.
7-7-1.
Goes after it there, George Wall. And just moments back, big insight you provided here into the mental side of the game. You don't want to treat this like a special occasion. 7-7-1. Take us deeper into what is going on in the athlete's mind and what is someone who's new to the sport should learn from all 4 of these players on court.
You just need to settle the nerves and not think about the overall result. It's very easy to skip ahead and be like, if we don't win this point, I'm not going to get into the 3rd set, and therefore we're going to lose the match. It's, what we try to say to our players is if you can play 1 or 2 points at a time, you're always going to be better off. Much easier said than done. Especially when you see that score right behind you. You don't always have that. It's staring you right in the face, and that's very tough, very tough.
Essentially, you simplify. You just take it 1 point at a time. Let your mind just be in the moment rather than overthink it. Think about the results. Think about the opportunity to grab gold. Just keep it 1 point in the moment is what we've been
Point.
beautifully brought into the mental side of the game by you. Tell us also, how has this PWR DUPR India Masters as an experience been for you? Take us through that.
Well, look, it's been unbelievable. As an official partner now, we just announced that partnership actually on Tuesday. and then the event started on Thursday. So to come here, we've been treated as well, exactly like Pranav and PWR have been treating all the players. And with that, it's meant that we feel part of a family that wants to grow the sport globally. They don't just want US players, they don't just want Asian players, they don't just want Australian players, they want them equally. And with that, we feel like that being here as fans, as supporters of the players, and as their tournament partners now in Oceania. So just amazing. Look, you guys are also friendly. And you know, we get to stand up here in the VIP lounge just behind us, and that's a pretty special place to be.
Receiver, you have 1 timeout, server, 1 timeout. Time in, 9-7-2.
Come on, Danny.
Point.
Come on, Danny.
Here we go, 10-7-2. This is to force a third set for the amazing Australian duo.
Let's go.
Side out.
So let's go from Armaan and Roos. Well, they need 4 to win this. We have a golden point here at 10 each.
7-10-1.
Armaan with the serve now.
Point.
That's a tough miss there. Like we said, it gets tight. Now when it gets tight, and to be honest, the golden point is quite unique. I don't know what you think about it, but I'm not used to it. We're used to first to 11 win by 2, which we will have if we have a third set. But the golden point puts that extra bit of sizzle on the sausage, and you know we love to see that as well, because it's all about pressure and it's all about who can handle it. Like we've been talking about, the golden point adds that extra little touch.
Take us through. I've seen a lot of these dinks in the doubles. Take us through how the game evolved. I did realize over the last 11 months, from a lot of dinking play, slower play, it has gone towards the drives. The speed has increased.
Definitely here. You can see that Australia's a bit known for that as well. And they're on cue.
On cue, says George Wall. He's such a lively character.
He is, and this is a massive point. They are 9-10-2. Here we go.
Wide.
So close, just wide, that one. And this is that golden point. In fact, this one is championship point. To close it, to grab gold. Who gets this one?
Come on, Danny.
Oh, wow. That is just tough to see. Danny and George have 2 chances now. 2 serving chances to send it to a third set, and watch Danny and George's reaction if they get there.
Come on, Danny.
Point. Game.
And there we have it. We have a third set.
Interestingly, a subdued reaction, because George and Danny didn't really realize that it was a golden point.
Which is what I told you, we do not play golden point usually in Australia. Now, obviously, we are going to keep things consistent at PWR events.
One more going to the distance.
Sorry, new game. Yeah.
3 sets, that's the best 2 words in
0-0-2.
football right now. This is what it's all about. You got David there sitting alone, enjoying it from an NPL perspective, cheering on the Aussies. Right, there's a bit of energy now. Now Armaan is not going to stay quiet this set. He knows what's at stake here. The papers, his name's going to be up in lights. He does not want to miss out on that opportunity. I will say this. Here we go. Now he's playing serious.
Great point you make there. He's going to be all across the headlines with that triple crown. He knows what's at stake.
He knows what's at stake, and here's a little side story for you. It's silly now in hindsight, but I bet against Armaan in the singles with a few people. I won't say who. And the first thing Armaan did when he saw me in the lift straight after the game, and goes, "You owe your friends a bit of money, don't you?" He doesn't forget. He does not forget.
He loves proving people wrong. When the odds are stacked up against this man, when it's all looking down and out, just the scoreline, 4-9 in the second game. Comes back, wins it. In the decider in that singles, trailing 0-8. 11 straight points. How does he manage this? Just take us through the mindset of the man.
I think you have to be there. It doesn't happen overnight. You don't do that in your first or second or third game of pickleball. He's been down. Every good player in every sport gets into these situations. You start to feed on past experiences. When you play as much pickleball and been as much professional, tight situations like Armaan's been, it's all about remembering that, okay, that last game, I was 7-0 2 weeks ago. What's the difference now? You know, and you start to think like that, and then it's not that daunting because you've been there and done that. Experience is a real thing. It's not rocket science to say that, but you'll find players that haven't been through much experience but have a lot of talent, they get the tightest, usually when it gets to those situations.
It's taken him a long time to develop this mental fortitude. They say the mind is also like a muscle. It takes time, and his muscle memory certainly just shows up in the most challenging, most daunting of occasions. How does he do it? It's just remarkable, but it's taken him a long time.
It has. It's impressive. I've got to know him a bit more this trip. I guess I've got a question for you. Who's your? I mean, I don't even know if he's your favourite, but who's, apart from Armaan, who have you liked watching that is Indian this tournament? Because there've been so many amazing performances.
Without a doubt, Aditya Ruhela. You were witness to that quarterfinal. Before the match started, I highlighted it truly is worthy of a final. I wanted to see them in the final, but now with what Dusty delivered, wow, hats off to Dusty Boyer coming in all the way from America. That was top quality pickleball. But from an Indian perspective, like you asked me, Aditya and Armaan, that rivalry is here to stay for a very long time.
As far as I understand it, Aditya took the first 2 games they played, and now Armaan has won the last 3. Which is pretty incredible. I know Aditya is maybe a bit more of a single specialist for now, but what a rivalry. I feel like these are the types of rivalries that, you know, every sport needs, and we've probably got it for at least 5 or 6 more years, if not more. They're on fire right now. They are on fire. This is ominous for George and Danny.
And interestingly, in the first game as well, it was Armaan Bhatia, Roos van Reek who took the first 6 points. George and Danny came back, took the next 5. And was this a fault? Armaan not too sure.
I've really loved our head ref. I think it's Byron Flesser. He's just got this demeanour about him as well. Usually you associate referees with angry.
Side out.
An Aussie commentator, Ron Shell, right next to me, and you would certainly want them to make the most of every opportunity. Are they coming back into this, Ron?
They're coming back right now. They're going to win 3 points in a row, and it starts now, this massive comeback.
Second server.
The commentator's curse there.
I will say one thing, we were watching in the hotel room last night, some of the games, and you know, I say the sport needs colourful personalities, it also needs colourful commentators. You guys have brought the energy in every game, and it's tough sometimes, you know, especially pickleball when it can get slow down sometimes. You need the commentators to bring the energy, so very excited to see what you guys do at future tournaments held here.
Wow, listen to that roar. And just to add to what you said, with the energy on center court is so palpable. The action is so thrilling. Here come the dings. This time no speed up, not required.
Danny just doing a bit of theatrics there with the stretching motion. She's frustrated. She is one of the best soft-handed players in Australia. You don't see that very often from her.
Do you reckon this is nerves?
I think it is. I think it's nerves. I also think, you know, they're just the pressure when you play people who are as strong as Roos and Armaan. They just don't let you have easy points. And that's one thing, you know, we try to tell all our players. you know, you might have all the talent in the world. If you cannot, wow, look at that, incredible. He's gone to that next level, which we know he has. But
Timeout, receiving team.
sometimes when you're
9-1-1.
playing,
Now the PWR DUPR India Masters in the national capital. This will be followed by the 8-time Grand Slam champion Andre Agassi launching the PWR DUPR India League. And as we speak of all of this, the man, the reason we're all here, the managing director at the Times Group, Mr. Vineet Jain, watching closely.
Okay.
doesn't he look
Receiving team,
glorious
you
in
have
that
0
suit?
timeout,
He looks
serving
brilliant,
team, you have
always
2.
dresses
Time
very
in,
well,
9,
and the reason
1.
why we're here, you're exactly right.
Point.
We now have 9 championship points in a row. I mean,
10-1-1.
we're nearly there. All right, here we go. What can George and Danny do to stay in the game? They just need to get the serve back. And it's over. We have 2 out of 3 and 2 out of 2 for Rose. Incredible tournament for Rose. I think she made the
Congratulations, guys.
quarterfinals of the singles, has just taken home 2 championships.
Also, big round of
Armaan
applause
is
to Mr.
on
Townsend,
track
to Ms. Townsend,
for
and
making
Mr. Wall.
some of the greatest history in the sport of pickleball, and he knows that the smile is as wide as the court. Disappointment for George and Danny, but huge to get to the final here against incredibly tough opposition. It was a stacked draw. A stacked draw.
What a moment. 2 finals for the young Dutch, and she grabs gold in both. First alongside the Kiwi Katie Hart,